Welcome back to 5 Acres Honey Farm. This video is filmed a little out of sequence at both of my apiaries. So I've been doing an experiment with some small hive beetle traps and also putting on some propolis traps. So two different things, and I'll take you along so you can see how those are going, and also some other little critters that are hanging around here too. I'm at my main apiary in Pittsboro, North Carolina, and I'm doing full inspections on all of the hives. But while I'm getting set up, I'm noticing something. I'm trying out this robbing screen for the first time this year, and take a little look at this. The white plastic one, which is the experimental one, was just ignored by this hornet. And these traditional wooden robbing screens are working perfectly fine, but I thought it was really interesting to be able to see how it immediately ignored the white plastic. Also found a dead bald-faced hornet. Look at all those Nazanov glands hanging out. I just finished inspecting, looks great, and now they're fanning some pheromones to tell all their bee gals to fly back in, and totally calm. Good morning. Come on, little guy. Time to go. You don't want to go in there. This is my first black queen. There was one queen cell in this little nuke, and this is what they made. I'm trying something a little different. I saw another beekeeper had done this, and this looks a little dirty-ish because I did rinse out as much of the mineral oil as possible on the outer edges, but there's still a little bit in there. But I've got diatomaceous earth in the traps instead of mineral oil, and instead of putting apple cider vinegar in the bait section in the center, I'm just putting a few apple slices because the orchard is open for the season. We got some Honeycrisp apples yesterday, so first ones of the season. And I'm going to add these to, I've got 3 of the traps set up here. I'm going to add one to each of the 3 colonies, and they all currently have traps in them with the mineral oil, and I'm actually going to take those out and refresh the bait in them with the apple cider vinegar with a little pipette that I have. I have a separate video about that, but I'll demonstrate that too. And here's what I was talking about. So this trap only caught 1 beetle. There were actually a dozen on top of the trap. Actually, there's one hiding right below here. So we're gonna, well, when I get the camera off, I'll kill that one. But I'm gonna use this little pipette. I take out the old apple cider vinegar and I put fresh one in. Just noticed something I wanted to point out. So we've got 3, 6, 7 frames in this. This is a 10 frame length drop, but especially through the summer you can see like they build out so much. So I should have taken a before picture, but these frames were so close together that it was really challenging just to take one out and risking rolling a queen or hurting these workers. So I actually removed this really chunky frame of honey. I just put it in this box for now. This box I'm hoping to just remove from the colony. They're not really using it, so that's just a placeholder before it goes in the freezer. And then I'll just look for maybe a box that has some empty frames or some extra space, and I can try and put that in. Otherwise, I can just put that honey in the freezer and use it another time. But, I mean, looking at this, can you imagine that fat frame being in here? It's kind of crazy. So this just gives them a little bit more room. This also, by taking one of those funky frames out, it is now removing the opportunity for the queen to lay in that should she need more space. So it's easier to cycle it out and prevent this kind of a mess through the winter. And then hopefully by the time winter comes, all of these funky frames will be out and I can get them closer together for their cluster. Found this little guy in the garden, just hanging out under some leaves. More organic pest control in the garden. This is a ruby buckwheat that I grow in the garden around plants as like a living mulch, but I also let it reseed. And you see that we've got the honeybees on it and a bunch of other pollinators. And I also have been seeing the hummingbirds feeding on it as well. I'm a big advocate for multi-headed sunflowers, lots of diversity. Out of all the hives, I noticed one was producing a lot of propolis. So that is the one that I've chosen at this apiary to add this propolis trap. And after just a few days, they've already filled that whole corner. So noticing a lot of pollen coming in, which is what I was expecting, but I'm trying to show here, you can see like the typical, pellets of pollen that kind of come out of their baskets and stuff. But what I'm also noticing is like these tiny little flakes. Try to get a better angle. And it seems to be more present with this colony. This is the one with that plastic entrance reducer robbing screen. So it's these teeny tiny pieces. I am seeing it in the other hives, but I haven't noticed this before. Maybe this happens every year, but I've never been aware of it. But otherwise, lots of pollen coming in. This frame is a great example of what you want to see this time of the year. You got the queen, awesome, really good retinue around her. Got these other workers here having a little trophallaxis conversation next to an emerging bee. So they're sharing some information and nectar. And then we've got some more capped brood emerging and really good coverage, more capped brood about to emerge, and good population. My inspections were just interrupted by this guy. Get a little closer. He almost took one of our chickens yesterday, and he also killed one of our quail through the hardware cloth. Very creative, but wasn't able to get the quail. But definitely becoming hawk season, and need to keep a closer eye out while the chickens are out. Aren't pumpkins like the most fun thing to grow? Other than potatoes. Potatoes and pumpkins, if that's all I grew, I'd be fine with that. You can actually see a little hummingbird is hanging out on the buckwheat under the arch trellis, moving over to some more buckwheat. But this is full jungle mode of the summer. I wanted to show you after about 3 weeks of leaving these traps in the mountain hives. So I did an experiment with each hive. So each hive gets 2 mineral oil apple cider vinegar traps and 1, this was the experiment, diatomaceous earth and a pollen patty. And I've never seen this before, but it happened with the ones with the diatomaceous earth. But the bees actually propolized the entrance to the traps, so beetles couldn't get in. And I don't really see any beetles in this DE, but there are a few dead ones in this one. So I guess the beetles went in, got in the DE, and then the bees decided just to keep them trapped inside. Also, very mixed results. One hive I got a ton of beetles in the mineral oil, and the rest, I mean, there's a little bit in there, but one. Just one there. Just a few there. Nothing too great. And they actually did the propolis in this mineral oil one too, just to keep, so then the beetles couldn't even get trapped in there. So that I've never seen before. Oh, and they did it in this one here. Oh no, this one is a DE one. But I'm going to clean these all out now. The yellow jackets are even interested in it. And then it's kind of about to rain, so I'm just going to have the traps ready so that if I can squeeze these in before the rain, I'll get these traps back in the hives. And then if not, I'll just keep an eye outside and run back out when I can. I am done with my final inspections of the summer. So we've got, everyone's looking pretty good. The one on the far end is looking the best so far, and the two closest to me, I actually reduced those by a medium each. But everyone's bringing in pollen. They have that awful small hive beetle problem still, but the Freeman traps, which are on the base of the ones on the end, those seem to be the most effective. I had run out of confectionery sugar and I just picked some up, so in a little bit I'm gonna just open the tops and sprinkle that sugar in there, and that kind of motivates the bees and the beetles to move around a bit, and the beetles fall down and they drown in the water and oil mixture that's in the base in the Freeman beetle trap on the bottom. So those have been so far the most effective. And then the other thing that helped a lot was me taking off the two mediums off those hives and putting them in the freezer. They were full of beetles, so that was a big help as well. And now we just wait to see how the fall goes. All of the goldenrod is blooming, and the aster is just opening. I'll bring you over there to take a peek. And now we just wait and make sure they make it through the fall, which seems to be the most tumultuous time, even more tumultuous than the winter. So fall is really the most critical, at least in my experience. Yeah, most of the goldenrod's opening, and this is some aster that's about to open. More aster in here. Some other stuff, I don't know what it is, but I see a lot of these, more goldenrod and these yellow flowers. I've been using the photo ID on these yellow flowers and I'm getting mixed results on them, but the pollinators really love them. And also saw some blue lupin, and yeah, lots of options for this time of the year. But thanks for watching, and I will continue to share some more. You being a good boy? Yeah? I don't have your bowl. I don't know where it is. It's inside. Yeah? What's up, Pops? Being a good bubba? You're being a good bubba. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.